world of creative writing is filled with many rules. Stay in the same verb tense, don't use too many adverbs, and don't end a story with "it was all a dream." Well, I'm here to tell you that most writing rules are worth listening to, but they can also be worth breaking, because it's often through breaking the rules that we come to create our most powerful and memorable works. In today's guided creative writing session, we will be discussing a handful of writing rules, and then I will guide you through a handful of writing exercises that seek to intentionally break them. My hope is that this session will help you to better understand some of the most popular and influential writing rules, for you to know why those rules exist, but also to empower you to break them with confidence if and when you choose. And you don't need to have any prior experience with writing in order to enjoy and get some benefits out of this session. All you need is a pen, some paper, or something to type with, and a kind of lighthearted willingness to experiment, make mistakes, and have fun. As always, this session is very much about giving you a space to write. So let's begin. It's pretty common knowledge that you need to first understand rules in order to know when and how to break them. A writer who breaks writing rules without having learned them in the first place could most likely be said to be making a mistake. But if you learn the rules and then choose to discover what happens when you intentionally break them, then what you're making there isn't a mistake, but an artistic choice. So the first rule we're going to discuss and then dismantle is that the main character of a story should have a goal or something that they want. And this is a good rule to follow because it makes your story feel dynamic, and readers are much more likely to want to tag along with a character who's actively trying to achieve something. And it just generally makes for better storytelling. But in reality, life doesn't always look like this. Sometimes we just don't know what we want, or what we want doesn't happen to be particularly important. There are many wonderful books out there whose protagonist is passive or lacking in a goal or want, and if you haven't read it, Outline by Rachel Cusk is a great example of this. So with all that said, we are now going to experiment with writing a character who has no clear goals. I will be sharing some images for you to work from in case you need some extra inspiration. And in this exercise, you can write anything you want. You might write a character sketch or a short scene, maybe a diary entry that's written by your character, or whatever else comes to you. The only rule for this exercise is that you break the rule of your character needing to have a goal. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. As you're writing, do your best to just keep your hand moving and keep the words coming. Don't question anything that comes up. Even if an idea seems incredibly weird, just follow it. See where it takes you. So have fun, and your 10 minutes of writing starts now. Okay, great job. How was that? Did it feel really strange to write about a person that has no clear goals or objectives? Did anything interesting happen in the writing? Let me know. I would love to hear about your experience. So now we'll be moving on to another writing rule, and that rule is don't head hop. Basically, what this means is that you should stick with the point of view of one character and you don't flit sort of willy-nilly between the heads of different characters in the same scene. And this is usually a really good rule to follow because head hopping runs the risk of alienating your readers or even confusing them. Sticking with one consistent point of view means that your readers never have to second guess whose story they're following or whose side they're on. Again, like having a character with a clear goal, maintaining the same point of view throughout your story is a pretty solid strategy for attracting and keeping a reader's attention. With that said, there are plenty of writers out there who do shift points of view, sometimes even within the same paragraph. The book Dune by Frank Herbert is a good example of this, and Tolstoy's writing does it as well. So let's try some head hopping for ourselves. Now, I want you to take two characters. Again, it doesn't really matter who you pick, and I'll give you some options to work with. And I want you to write a scene where the point of view in the story is shifting back and forth between the two of them. And just for ease of getting you started, let's say these two characters are waiting in line somewhere. Maybe the supermarket, the post office, the courthouse, the pub, you decide. And as before, we'll write for 10 minutes. And try not to suppress any ideas that do come up, no matter how weird they are. All right, so have fun, and your 10 minutes starts now. 10 minutes is up. Really nice work. And how did your writing go? Was it weird to jump back and forth between these two characters' perspectives? Did you enjoy it? So the next writing rule I want to discuss today is the rule of clarity, which means always keeping things clear for the reader and avoiding intentionally withholding information just for the sake of story drama. When your character knows something that the reader doesn't, this can make for a really frustrating reading experience. Sure, you might have reasons for keeping the information from us, like for the sake of building and maintaining tension or working up towards a really clever plot twist. But the risk of doing this is that your reader could end up feeling manipulated and cheated. So as a rule of thumb, keep your reader with the protagonist. Whatever the character knows, the reader knows too. In my opinion, this rule is really challenging to break, but it can be done. And some writers who have done it beautifully include Shirley Jackson in her book We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and also Vladimir Nabokov in his book Pale Fire. So let's experiment with breaking this rule. I want you to write a scene where somebody is meeting your character. They've met before, but this other person doesn't remember that. Your main character, however, already knows exactly who this person is and where they met previously, but they allow the other person to believe they're only meeting for the first time, and crucially, they don't share this information with the reader either. They withhold the truth from both the other person and the person reading the story. Now, like I said, this rule is very difficult to break well, so don't get frustrated with yourself if the scene you write isn't quite as good as you imagined. That's totally okay, because the point here is that we are experimenting and just seeing what happens. So have fun, and your 10 minutes of writing starts now. Okay, fantastic job. How was that? Did anything interesting happen while you were writing? Of course, there are countless of other writing rules we could discuss today, far more than I can fit in this video, so please let me know if this is something you'd like to see more of in the future. For now, we will conclude with our fourth writing rule, and that rule is be concise. In other words, if you can say the same thing in 3 words as you can with 1, go with 1. This is normally a good rule to follow because when executed well, it demonstrates that the writer understands style. You might hear people's writing described as razor sharp, and that usually means they're very economical with their words, and they never say more than they need to say. Unlike me, because I just said the same thing in 2 different ways. Did you notice? Now, I definitely don't think this rule needs to be followed all the time, but out of all the rules we've discussed today, it's the one that I think you do need to be the most practiced in. Economy of words is a really important skill that writers should develop, and it's through developing this skill that you can come to understand how and when to stray from the rule. So for these last 10 minutes of writing, let's just be wild and free. Let's forget the rule of clarity, and let's invite run-on sentences, flowery descriptions, redundancies, and confusing word choices. Let's experiment with crafting the most convoluted and verbose paragraph we can. And as before, if you need a starting point, I'll be sharing an image that you can work from. So we've been writing a lot, so let's loosen up, have fun, and see what happens. And your 10 minutes of writing starts now. All right, fantastic job today. I really hope that our discussion and writing exercises helped to not only demonstrate the importance of writing rules, but also shown you the exciting creative possibilities there are in the breaking of these rules. And remember, if you regularly do exercises and prompts like these, your creativity will strengthen and your unique writing style will develop, but you've got to stay consistent. Luckily, I have plenty of other videos like this one, along with many more forthcoming, so you never need to be lost for things to write about. And if you ever want anyone to offer you some advice on your writing, as well as keep you accountable, don't forget I do take one-to-one clients for both regular writing coaching sessions and one-off occasional meetings, if you just want a quick chat. And you can find more info on this on aspacetowrite.com. Brilliant job today, have fun writing, and I look forward to seeing you next time.